Hey, welcome back, modelers. So today, I am going to be reviewing the new P-51D in 1/72nd scale from Eduard. I'm going to be specifically doing the Royal class boxing. But first, I'm going to show you a little bit of how my test sample is built up. Then we're going to look at what actually comes inside the box. So let's look at a few of the pieces. This is actually just an over tree, and there's a lot of just things I didn't care about accuracy of the different parts, different options. Just kind of threw it together to show you, how it actually fits once you build it. Big thing that I've noticed with this, it's like anything that's a precision made tooling. If you over sand things, if you kind of curve the corner, do something like that, you get into some problems, like into there. So you got to be diligent and be very good with what you're sanding, and use some good nippers, things like that are going to be very important. So first thing that I have here, I put in Sharpie here, blue Sharpie, the seam lines that you have to fill in. I think that's always an important piece to it. And so there's a bit, but those are pretty common in any P-51 kit. So not anything crazy, and not a lot of work that you really have to do. Of course, leading edge, things like that, not very hard to do, since this is a really good engineered kit. So, other thing that I thought was a little bit weird, so this piece is your light, and you have to do just right to probably like glue it in place or something, but it's one piece and you have to bend this to get the light to fit and do what it's supposed to. Now, I guess the reason why they do that is if you want to do this doors closed, which I'll get to in a sec, you gotta kind of do some work with it, and but I would just omit that part, so I don't know. It's just kind of weird. When it looks at the rivets, nice detail. And yeah, I built this fast. You can see, didn't do exactly the best build job, but I just really want to see overall fit quality. From that, everything was pretty easy and went together well. Didn't have to have any real big fights with it, anything like that. Now, there is one thing you'll notice: I don't have the landing gear. That is because there is a little bit of a problem with the landing gear. So it does have this attachment post that works out really well. And so that works pretty good in theory, but in practice, and hopefully don't break it, but you put it into that slot, and as you can see, it fits kind of to where it's supposed to, but there's a lot of wobble and things to it. So in theory, when you look at the instruction and everything, it looks like it's going to just pop in place, similar to some of the other engineering kits where you have that post that goes on the hole, rather than you just stick it there and hope it's in the right position. So it's a little better, but it's not quite where we'd see with other kits where it's obvious. Like the Zukimura kit that I just did, when you put that in there, it's not moving, it's in the right spot. But this will have to be doing some alignment to kind of make sure that it is in place the way it's supposed to. They do give you a picture to diagram it to make sure that you are doing that. So that helps out, and that's pretty cool. But I would hope that I can just pop it in its spot. Don't have to, get out any alignment tools or anything, and yeah, remove that hassle with it. So that was a little bit of an issue. Now, if I have anybody here that wants to do doors closed, you can do that. Now, granted, if you just put the piece right there, it's not exactly going to work. There will be a little bit of work that you have to do, a little bit of sanding, and obviously some of the attachment pieces that you have on it, you definitely have to work with. But overall, it shouldn't take much to actually put that in, just so the gears, the doors are closed for that, which you probably have to do. Now, the tail wheel is a little bit special. You'll have to do more work with that. It's like a lot of the other Eduard P-51s where it kind of has its own bird cage thing, which is great. You get to see, if you put like a flashlight down there, you can see kind of all the structure, internal structure to the plane. So that's kind of cool. But for people that want to have it in flight, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for you. So I'll have to see if I want to dismantle this and try to do it that way, or just put it as is. I don't know. So that's that. Now, other thing, canopy, pretty awesome. I had to do a little bit of pushing on here to get it go into its spot, but no problems whatsoever. Now, looks like I've got a little bit of an extra piece. Need to sand in there, but pretty good alignment and everything with the canopy if you want to have it closed. And then, of course, open, looks good. So overall, the detail and everything with this, and especially if you go into the Royal class that I'll show you in a sec, whew, there's some nice stuff there. So let's move on and show you the box, what's in it. And then for those that are not wanting to do the Royal class, maybe just do some of the others, I'll show you what accessories I definitely recommend. Some you can probably stay away from. Okay, so here she is, the wonderful classic Royal class box. And let's take a look in. So with the owner's manual, your instruction manual always gives you a lot of different options. One thing that you'll have to keep in tow is figure out which marking you're going to do first, because all the different pieces in here, even the fuselage itself obviously is going to be different depending on what version you're doing. So like all these markings are going to have to be the C, because one of them is the D, one is the D5, and it's going to be different. So B marking, B12, you'd have to use all these, you know, so try to figure it that way. The other thing that's fun with these Eduard is you do have a lot of markings. I think it comes with 10 different markings for it. But you got to keep in mind, if 2 of these are going to use the B sprue tree, well, you're kind of stuck. You might have to go buy some over trees or something like that. You have to figure out which is going to use this. So if I wanted to do markings A and B, so like A and B, you're out of luck, because that is going to use the B sprue tree, which I guess would be the D. And then if you go to C and D, yeah, is a D5. So if I'm probably going to be building this one, because I made already a hand-painted thing of Donald there. So if I want to do that and this, well, I'm going to have to buy some over trees or another set of plastic. So that is one thing that you have to kind of keep in mind whenever you're doing an Eduard kit with these big boxings is, yes, you're going to have a ton of markings, but keep in mind you have to do one of the C, D, E, F, I, and then one of the A, B, G, H, J, K, L, M, N. So yeah, usually not an issue, but if you're dead set on, oh, I just want to do A and B, those are my favorite ones, I'd recommend getting some over trees. They're about 10 bucks for this kit, pretty cheap. Other than that, I'm not going to show you much on the owners. The instructions, pretty great. You know, nothing to write home about on them. Didn't find any issues with that. And let's look at what's in the box. Okay, so the kit itself, you can see just like, well, with here, so you can see right here, you have all this good surface detail. So you can see with this, you got this really good surface detail. Some people would say that the rivets look kind of oversized and everything, but I think it was just the pictures that they're using. It looks quite good in person. So we're looking at that. And then the other question that comes into is it have the puttied wings, or is it going to be kind of like some of the Tamiya or other kits where you have the rivets that haven't been puttied? These are puttied, and so you don't have to worry about that. If you want to do it 100% accurate as they would have it coming out of the factory. So from here, I'm not going to do a lot of the same box opening stuff, but you can see here, this is what I was talking about with the rear tailwheel doors. So you'd have to do some interesting engineering, not the worst job, but do a few things with that to be able to get that to be doors closed. But otherwise, it's very easy for putting a gear down. So for most customers, that's gonna be great. Into the wheel wells, a lot of detail into there. So you'll even get into some of the plumbing. So pretty nice for that. Plenty of different ordnance and stuff. You can use bazookas, rockets. They've got all the different types of fuel tanks that you can use, the two different types of propellers are going to be on this. Dare I say actually 3 or more. Because I've got the cuffed and the uncuffed. Okay, the cuffed are on this. So there's 2 of the uncuffed that they have here and here. So you get that option there. So there's a whole bunch of different variants that you have with it. As far as extra goodies, you get into the P-51 B/D coin that they give you in either the P-51B 48 scale kit. They give you the same pin. So that's kind of cool. You don't get a poster with this one, but let's look at some of the other things. Obviously, you get into your photo etch, so you're going to have that. With the resin parts, the seats are pretty awesome. They have not released these yet, so if you want to get it specifically like this, you have to have it as part of this kit. So as you can see, there is seat belts already molded into the 3D printing, which is my favorite. I think they look slick. Now granted, for some people you're gonna have to paint that, so it's a little bit more difficult than some of the stuff, but you can use photo etch and do that for your seatbelts if you don't want to. But I would really like that detail on that, and it's gonna be a little tricky in 78 scale to paint all that, but I think it's gonna be worth it in the end. Then you have the different type of seat here. Actually, now come to think of it, no, they're actually the same. I was curious about that. They have 2 in there, but they're actually the same type with the flotation. So I don't know which that is. I have to read my P-51 book to see about there. So yeah, those are the seats, and they look fantastic. You can only get those in this. Other parts, so exhaust stacks, either you have this type that have like the cuffs, I guess, to them. Sorry, I'm not really good with terminology on all these, but the exhaust stacks are drilled out, and so that saves you some time. Plus, I don't know if you can get it quite as perfect as how they have it in here. So that's gonna make those exhaust stacks pop. And then you have the other type. Then you have the other type here, where I guess it has doesn't have the cuff. I don't know, you guys can tell me in the chat if I am actually remembering that correctly. But they give you 2 types of the exhaust. And then the wheels, to be honest, I haven't taken a close look at this. I think they are, yes. So you've got the regular diamond tread that you get into this puppy, and then you have kind of the oval tread on this. So once again, if you have 2 kits that you want to do the oval tread on, well, you gotta buy more then, which I'm sure you guys are not too worried about there. So that's that. The decals pretty much a big old sheet because they give you a ton of markings on here. And they should be in line with all the previous Eduard stuff where, you know, you can do that peeling method if you want to do that. But otherwise, I've been very, very fond of recent Eduard decals. They look great. Then the other cool thing, I don't know when they're going to actually sell these, but these are the O masks. So what you can do is you would paint your wheel wells into like the yellow zinc chromate, and then you put these masks on, then you paint the fuselage color. So instead of using, you know, maybe some putty or tape or whichever way you guys do that, this kind of solves that problem for you. So it's pretty cool. I want to see how well they work with that. I think maybe something that they're just trying out and maybe will sell further, but other than that, pretty exciting for this kit. It's coming together pretty well with my setup here. Now, as far as what accessories that I'd recommend with it, so like I said, with the wheels, you might need to, for depending on which different version you want. And then with the wheels, you do get a lot more crisp detail with like the manufacturer Firestone and all that. Whether you can see that in 70-second scale is a whole nother question, but there's that. Exhaust stacks, I think they add quite a bit to it. Now, as far as cockpit, this is where I'm a little bit torn. Last time, I think it was even a 48 scale. Yeah, definitely more detail. Goes together well, fits in with the system because they're both Eduard really well. So if you want to do your first 3D printed cockpit, this would be a good avenue to go to it. Is it worth it in the end? Part of what holds me back is how much of it can I actually see with the doors open. And that's where I'm kind of, is it worth that extra expense? So that I'm not 100% sure with. And then with here, they don't have, maybe I can't find it, but the releasing the landing gear legs in brass, that is going to be something I might actually buy when they come out, because that might solve what's going on with the wheel wells. Like maybe they're oversized or something, just pop right in. Maybe that solves the problem. Since it's not in this kit, that is an unknown. I don't know. The other thing that you can look into is the surface masks. So what you can buy is basically a paint mask for the insignia. And then if you want to do some panel variation, you can get into the mask for the surface panels. More of that's on Eduard's website, and that's pretty cool. But I'm going to probably try doing the my silhouette cutter and see if that goes with it. So that's what they have offered. There might be a few more things that are coming out. I could be wrong, but I'm assuming that they're going to be releasing the landing gear like they've done for just about everything else, so I don't know why they wouldn't. But that is everything that they explain on their manual and everything that I've found off of their website. So hopefully you find this informative. If you guys like more of this method where I build a sample of it and show you where it's actually, you know, have fit issues, whether I think it's an A build or if it's something just don't even waste your money on, let me know. There might be a few ways that we can get that going. Just keep in mind, a lot of the time, very expensive. This one, luckily, I was able to just do an overtree for like $8, and so it was pretty easy. However, yeah. So let me know in the chat if it is worth my hard-earned money to do that for you guys. But I'll see you on the next video.